Okay, today we have another special treat. We have Rack, Shack, and Benny by Phil Vischer, and we are going to have it read by Grandpa Vanagas.
Once upon a time, there was a chocolate factory, but not just any chocolate factory. No, this was Neza Chocolate Factory, home of the Neza Chocolate Bunny. Mr. Neza, Nabby K. Neza, could be a little mean sometimes. He wasn't a bad man, and every now and then he'd get a little confused. Why his chocolate bunnies were selling so well, I think he'd gotten a little big for his britches. And now, and that he was saying something because his britches were pretty big to start with. Mr. Nezer had 3 boys working in his chocolate factory named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Of course, no one could remember those names, so they changed them to Rack, Shack, and Benny. They came with some other boys and girls that Mr. Netzer brought in to help make chocolate bunnies. Yep, they were away from their parents for the first time. Things were going pretty well one day when Mr. Netzer made an announcement.
This morning, Nezer Chocolate shipped its 2 millionth chocolate bunny, he said. To celebrate this monumentous occasion, for the next 30 minutes, everyone may eat as many bunnies as they want.
Well, the kids were thrilled. They loved chocolate, and they could eat as much as they wanted. Brack, Shack, and Benny were eating bunnies, then Shack had something to say.
I don't think we should eat any more bunnies,
he told them.
Don't you remember our parents taught us we shouldn't eat much candy because it's not very good for us?
Shack, Rack replied, his mouth full of chocolate. Our parents aren't even here right now. Why, we're on our own. Besides, everybody else is doing it.
Shack. Shack told them about a song his mother used to sing to him a long time ago. It was a song that would always remind him of the things our parents taught us.
Yeah, see, Shack said, even though our parents aren't here right now to help us do what's right, if we remember what they taught us, it's like they're here all
along. Well, Rack and Benny agreed not to eat any more bunnies. When Mr. Nezer came in, he found everyone else lying on the floor with tummy aches. Everyone except Rack, Shack, and Benny.
Everybody is lying down, Mr. Nezer said, but you 3 are standing up. We can use boys like you that know how to stand up at Nezer Chocolate. How would you like to be junior executives?
What that means, Benny said.
Oh, sorry.
What does that mean? Asked Benny.
It means you have to wear ties, replied Nezer's helper, Mr. Lunt.
The boys were very excited about the new jobs. They had done what they thought was right, even though no one else was doing it, and it paid off. But boy, were they in for a surprise when they got to Mr. Nezer's office the next day. In his office, Mr. Nezer told Rack, Shack, and Benny how much he loved Nezer Chocolate Bunny. He told them how much he wanted everyone to love the bunny. So he decided to build a giant bunny for everyone to bow down to.
This is just a model, he told them. The real bunny is 90 feet tall.
Wow, that's a very big bunny, sir, Shack said.
Mr. Nezer replied, and it's going to be a beautiful thing when everybody bows down and sings the bunny song.
Well, the bunny song was full of horrible things that Rack, Shack, and Benny knew were wrong. Mr. Nezzer told them that if they didn't sing it, they were going to be thrown into the furnace where all the bad bunnies went. What should they do? If they stand up for what they believe in now, they'll be in a heap of trouble. That afternoon, Mr. Nezzer brought everyone outside to meet the giant bunny. Now it's time to
bow down and sing the bunny song, he said.
The music started and everybody bowed down, and Mr. Lunt noticed something.
Hey, boss, those three guys, it does not look like they're bowing,
said Mr. Nezzer. Taking a closer look, it was Rack, Shack, and Benny. I said
it's time to sing the bunny song,
he repeated. Rack, Shack, and Benny did not sing. Their friends Laura was shocked. Come on, guys, she begged. Sing the song. Everybody else is doing it. Still, Rack, Shack, and Benny did not sing. Mr. Nezzer shouted again,
"Sing the song!"
Finally, Shack started singing, but he wasn't singing the bunny song. Nope, he was singing the song his mother taught him. Rack and Benny joined in, and they sang that song together. When they finished, Mr. Nezzer was smiling.
"Oh, that was beautiful," he said. "I'm going to be singing that song to myself as I throw you into the furnace. Guards, seize them, take them to the furnace."
Laura looked in horror as the guards dragged her friends away. What could she do? Back in the factory, Mr. Nezzer put Rack, Shack, and Benny on the conveyor belt that led to the furnace. He said one more time,
"Will you or will you not sing the song?"
The boys thought hard. Then they explained to Mr. Nezzer that their parents had taught them to stand up for what they believed in. They also told him that God wanted them to do what was right, and that there was a lot of stuff in that song that was just not right. That's why, even though they didn't want to get in trouble, they could not sing that song. Mr. Nezzer smiled. "I understand, boys," he said. Benny was amazed. You do?"
"Oh, yes," Mr. Nezzer continued. "I understand that you're bad bunnies."
Mr. Nezzer pushed a button that sent Rack, Shack, and Benny down the slide toward the furnace. Round and round they went. As the glow of the furnace grew brighter and brighter, was this their end? Suddenly, they stopped falling. They hit something, but it wasn't the furnace. Mr. Nezzer turned to see what happened. It was Laura's truck. It rose in the air with Rack, Shack, and Benny. "Sorry, sir, I can't let you cook my buddies," she yelled. "Guards, get them!" Mr. Nezzer hollered. Two guards jumped into flying bunny cycles and raced off after Laura. Laura was a good driver. She led the guards into the giant pipes in the factory, twisting and turning as they raced along. One by one, she tricked the guards into going in the wrong way, and they fell out of the pipes into the giant vats of chocolate below. Up ahead, she saw a light streaming down, in the tunnel. That must have been the way out. Laura followed the light and flew out of the pipe. But instead of being outside, they were right back where they started, above the furnace, with Mr. Nezzer smiling at them. "You're back," he said. "Now, if I'm not mistaken, that truck belongs to me, Mr. Lunt." Mr. Lunt pushed a button and two giant arms grabbed Laura's truck and held it tight. "Oh, but look, Nezzer continued. "My truck seems to be full of garbage. Mr. Lunt, is there anything you can do about that?" Mr. Lunt pushed another button and the two arms began turning the truck over. He was going to dump them right into the furnace. While no one was looking, Laura popped out of the truck and disappeared behind one of the boxes. Rack, Shack, and Benny were now looking right down into the furnace. Shack turned to his friends with a worried look on his face. "Remember how our parents said that God would always be watching out for us?" he asked. "I sure hope they were right." Just then, the crane's arms shut down. Mr. Nezzer looked around and saw Laura standing on top of the boxes with the crane's power cord next to her and a crazy look in her eye. "I said nobody makes my bodies," she hollered. The boys smiled at their brave friend, and their smiles faded as the tail of the truck began bending under their weight. "Listen here, young lady," Nezzer yelled. He was interrupted by a loud crack. The tailgate had broken, and Laura and Mr. Nezzer watched as Rack, Shack, and Benny disappeared into the glowing furnace. Nobody ever will stand up to me again," Mr. Nezzer laughed Mr. Nezzer laughed, but then something strange happened. A crackling noise filled the air. Mr. Nezzer spun around to see the light streaming down into the furnace, filling the factory with an eerie glow. Mr. Lunt looked into the window and he said, Hey, boss, how many guys did we throw into the furnace?" Mr. Nezzer was frightened. "3, he mumbled. Well, it looks like there are 4 guys in here now, and one of them is really shiny," said Mr. Lunt. Mr. Nezzer was speechless. Mr. Lunt looked back into the furnace. "One more thing, boss," he whispered. "They aren't burning up." Now, Mr. Nezzer realized that God had taken care of Rack, Shack, and Benny, even in the fire furnace. Quickly, he called them out. They hadn't gotten burned at all. Mr. Nezzer apologized for trying to make them do the things they weren't supposed to do. "What I was thinking," he said, "I must have forgotten everything my mommy taught me." Well, Rack, Shack, and Benny remembered one more thing their parents taught them, that God wants us to forgive. "We forgive you," they all said. And that's the story of Rack, Shack, and Benny. 3 boys who learned that if they stood up for what they believed in, God would stand with them. The end.
Oh, thank you so much, Grandpa Vanagas. I know it wasn't perfect like you wanted, but it was very good and entertaining, and I am sure your listeners enjoyed it.